Namo Amida Butsu here at Killerton House, the grounds of Killerton House in Deer Park. Couldn't think of a more appropriate place to make a Buddhist video than Deer Park, other than the actual Deer Park in India, where Buddha would have been teaching. Anyway, Buddha Shakyamuni, that is, the Nirmanakaya Buddha of our Kalpa. And what a Kalpa it is, the five turbidities Kalpa, during the age of Mappo. Very interesting times, indeed. The state of the world is quite a total and utter bleep show at the moment, and total clown show at the moment. It's been a clown show for quite a while. I mean, it's just in general. Let's just face it. Especially in Mappo, it's just all of Mappo. The human realm is just a total. On this Jaibud Vipa portion of samsara, it's a total clown show. But particularly the last several years, it's gone from not only from bad to worse, but on a very steep downslope. You'd have to say, causes and conditions wise, karmically speaking, individually and collectively, it's not looking good. The year ahead's not looking good. I'm making this on New Year's Day, by the way, 2023, and it's not the year ahead, I have to say, is not looking good. I did a somewhat morose kind of post about it on Facebook. That I just couldn't, the whole wishing people a happy new year, this year it just seemed like I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it without acknowledging this age in Mappo, at this stage of things, where the world is at a serious utter disaster, on the brink of utter disaster, you'd have to say, like globally, and in numerous ways. So anyway, so I guess that's kind of what I wanted to make this video about, is that I feel like as a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, I need to be realistic about this stuff, it's all well and good. I do, the holidays, the quote unquote holidays, what I call the Bodhisattva season, because there's several kind of both, Buddhist and Jodo Shinshu holidays from about mid-November through February. Different holidays, including both the universal / secular observance on the 8th of December of Bodhi Day, as well as the traditional one, which is later. I think it'll be I don't even know when the traditional observance is falls this year, of Bodhi Day in the countries where they celebrate that. But anyway, so I participate in this time of the year, the festive season, in a cultural way. Just acknowledging it's the winter festival. It's just the secular cultural aspect of the winter festivals, which is a universal thing. That's all cultures have that, and I acknowledge that other religions have their various holidays at this time. Do I celebrate them as a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist? Do I observe them? No, I don't observe them. I don't celebrate them as an observant, as a, you know, of other religions. I only celebrate the Buddhist holidays during this time. But on a cultural basis, yes, I exchange gifts with people. The gift exchanging thing was long before that stuff existed, long before any of these religions claimed that tradition as part of their religion at this time of the year. And so the winter festivals were long existed, long before it was, you know, the known religions of our age, you know, of you know, anyway. So you know, the solstice and the winter festivals. So in that sense, I celebrate those things. Yes, I exchange gifts with people, and you know, yes, I enjoy the seasonal music and so on and so forth. And it's a very nostalgic time for me. But I don't observe it religiously, except for the Buddhist related holidays that fall during this, you know, like the broader season I mentioned, from November through kind of February, and as well as, you know, the New Year's is a secular holiday. Both, you know, both the kind of you know, standard, you know, year that people celebrate New Year's, as well as the East Asian kind of calendar New Year. That's really, you know, not necessarily strictly Buddhist. I think there are spiritual connotations about that, but they're not. It's also secular. There's also a secular way that's kind of, you know, observed. And obviously there's astrological, you know, things about the Chinese, you know, the East Asian New Year and things like that. But I just generally celebrate it all as cultural, in a secular way, other than the Buddhist holidays. But I still participate. I still, you know, and people wishing a happy Christmas, I just say, you know, happiness back to them. You know, happiness. You know, I wish you happiness. That sort of thing. Sometimes it's hard, and you just say, oh, you know, and to you, it says Merry Christmas, and you say, you know, I'll say Merry Christmas back, or Happy Christmas, or whatever, because it's just habit. But generally, if I'm more mindful, I generally just say, you know, happiness to you and yours, you know, happiness to you and yours, or much metta to you and yours. I try to do it that way, rather than specifically saying Merry Christmas. You know, that's just for me. That's just kind of, I just feel like I'm being more true to myself as a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist by just saying, you know, in response to someone saying Happy Christmas, just, you know, happiness to you and yours type of thing, rather than Happy Christmas or Merry Christmas, or, you know, that sort of thing. And then, you know, but what I'm just trying to say is, like, you know, I don't think it's you know, you're being un-Buddhist to participate culturally or secularly in the winter festivals of the time, in a secular way, in a cultural way, rather than a religious way. And that's how I do it. So I've done that this year. So this is another reason I wanted to kind of make this video, to kind of talk about that. And that's why I call it the Bodhi season. For me, it's the Bodhi season. You know, it's the Bodhi season, or the festive season, or the winter festival season, that sort of thing. And so I wanted to talk about that, but I also wanted to say, you know, in the context of the coming year, just what's been going on in the world, and at an accelerated rate. I mean, it's been bad for decades, centuries, really. We've been in Mappo for, you know, we've been in Mappo for, let's see, what would it be? Like, we're past the fifth, we're past the fifth 500-year period since Shakyamuni's passing. So we're definitely very strongly into Mappo now. And so, you know, so, I mean, that would put it like, you know, Mappo would start traditionally would have started, I think, somewhere around 900 of the Common Era, 900, you know, CE. of the Common Era, and or thereafter. We've been in Mappo for, what would that put it? Like, if it, let me just make sure I got that right. So, oh no, sorry, 1100. Sorry, I got that wrong. Sorry, it'd be about 1100, say, something around there. 1100 Common Era, 1100 CE, circa 1100 CE is when it started. So that would put us like, like 900 years, right? Into Mappo, I think. Is that right? Yeah, it'd be about 900 years into Mappo. So, it's been going on. Mappo's been going on for 100 years, getting worse and worse. But the last several years, you have to say, in the last few decades, it got really bad. It started. I could see it. I could really see it kind of turning, happening. I used to talk about it back in the day when nobody was talking about it. Now everybody suddenly awakened. Now, awake, quote unquote, awake. Now everyone's, now we know what's happening, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's awake, now. Suddenly everyone's awake. I was thinking about this stuff 30, 40 years ago, and when I try to talk about it, people just look at me like I had three heads, but now suddenly, now everyone's, sees it. Anyway, that much aside. Sorry, I didn't mean to get off on a tangent there. But and when I say awake, I don't mean in the actual, enlightenment sense of awake there. I'm using the sort of popular usage of awake there. The past, probably really took a turn for about the last century. Things have really started to creep more rapidly downward. And then, like I'd say, somewhere in the 90s, things started getting put into place further, and things started happening that would make things, just paving the way for other things, both intentionally and unintentionally. I'm trying to keep this as general and cryptic as I can, but you can interpret it however you want to. But by, say, the 21st century is when then it was like, things that happened right around the turn of the 21st century really made things rapidly change in the world. And then the last several years, since about 2015, it's really accelerated. And I think we're about to go into this coming year, it's going to be another dropping off, like steep decline of things in Mappo. I kind of wanted to, I just couldn't bring myself to be saying, "Oh, Happy New Year," and not acknowledge an understanding of that. Do you know what I mean? And not acknowledging the utter precipice that we're on in the entire world right now. I mean, I know a lot of places much earlier in the world that we live on, in this earth, in samsaric existence. The other places in the world have already, tipped off way before this, all declined, destabilized, and degenerated and decayed long before this. So it's just kind of like now the rest of the world is going to catch up with that. The rest of the world is going to catch up with how everything's declined everywhere else decades before, or even, earlier than that in Mappo before this. So, so it's just like the rest of the world now is going to catch up with the rest of the decay and degeneration and just total destruction, I guess is the best word. But anyway, with the rest of the world. So I couldn't not acknowledge that. That, can I really say Happy New Year to people? Yes, I wish people happiness in the Buddhist sense. I wish them happiness, as in, I wish, I wish them much metta, and I wish them that they would, find the Buddha way, that they will eventually, either in this life or in another lifetime, encounter the Buddha way, the Buddha teachings, and ultimately, Amida Buddha. And all of this, of course, is not really my wish. It's the Buddha's wish. It's Amida Buddha's wish that all beings. So of course, in that sense, that's the way I wish them happiness. Is that I wish them happiness in the sense that, of the inevitable and eventual day that everyone encounters, the Buddha teaching, the Buddha way, and Amida Buddha's vow, and is saved by Amida Buddha's, primal vow. So in that sense, yes, I wish everyone happiness in the new year. But at the same time, I'm realistic. As a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, I feel like I need to be realistic that there's going to be we're at a dropping off point in the world, and things could change, could take a turn again. But looking at the world right now, and looking at the so-called leadership of the world right now, and looking at, are human beings really going to change that much, karmically speaking, to turn things around? That's a fat chance of that, really. Come on, let's be realistic. Let's be honest about it. So, so I need to be realistic and about that. I don't think it's going to be a happy new year, and I think the years following are going to be, each year is going to be worse and worse for a long while, probably without reprieve. Really bad stuff is going to happen in the next several years. Say really bad stuff. I don't mean like, I mean really, really bad stuff is going to be happening. And that's just the way it is. And so I have that on the one hand. So as a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, understanding that we live in Mappo, because Amida has not just shown the light, Amida Buddha's light has not just shown on my own karmic causes and conditions to reveal that I'm a bamboo myself. He has also shown the light on our collective karma and the karma of Mappo, the karma of this time, the time and the place and beings in which we live. For me to be able to see that as well. I don't just see my own, I see that as well through Amida's light. So I have to acknowledge that. It'd be silly. It's just silly. It's just silly not to acknowledge that and just pretend like, oh, Happy New Year, yay. Do you know what I mean? No, that's not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. With everybody else, I'm just not going to do it. And no, so there's that perspective as Jodo Shinshu. On the other hand, as a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, I'm a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, so I'm very grateful, and I have a lot of hope in terms, not so much in samsaric existence. I don't have hope in human beings of this time and age. No, I have no hope in that. Zero hope that we're going to turn it around and things are going to get better, and zero hope in any political philosophy or ideology or governance or anything like that. Zero hope, zero faith in that. But I have lots of hope and lots of faith in Amida Buddha, in Amida Buddha's power, in Amida Buddha's mind, in Amida Buddha's way, in Amida Buddha's vow to save me. And that's the ultimate thing I need to be concerned about is to have have his, his light having shone on me, that my bamboo-ness, my kleshas, my own spiritual evil, the depth of my own spiritual evil, the depth of my own ignorance, the depth of my own, spiritual delusion, my own, and my own, attachments and aversions, and the depth of those, as much as I can see within my own karmic causes and conditions and limitations, Amida Buddha has illumined that. So I see that on one hand, and that there's a good bit of ego deflation that happens because of that. A good bit of, your ego gets reduced once that that process starts happening. Once you see that, once you see, once you encounter the light of Amida, it starts to you get some ego reduction there. I don't mean in the sense of any kind of special mind state. I don't mean like you're free of ego and and achieve some kind of realization or nothing. No. I just mean it's reduced a bit. You become aware of your own ignorance, become more aware of our own ignorance, more aware become more aware of my own ignorance, my own arrogance, my own the depth of my spirituality. I've become aware of that to whatever extent I can be within, again, as I say, my own karmic causes and conditions. And so that gives humility. There's some humility in that. So I don't think I have, my opinions about how to solve the world's problems or the environment or social ills or social injustice or on and on and on. I don't think I have the answer. And I don't think anybody has the answer to it in this time, in this place. There's things there's things you should do. Now, I'll get to that in a second, but that's so that I put that in perspective, and then because I have that perspective and I don't think I know the answers, and I see the depth of my own ignorance and arrogance and the depth of my own spiritual evil and the depth of my own kleshas, my own attachments and aversions and, all of that. It puts me in a more humble position to not stomp around thinking, I have my political philosophy, my political ideology, my political leanings can solve the world, can solve it. It can't. Nothing can. Nothing but Amida Buddha can, nothing but Buddhism can really solve anything. Nothing but Buddhism, really. the nothing but Buddhism is the medicine for what ails the world and samsaric existence. But that's a bigger topic. So I just because of that perspective as Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, I don't go stomping around, expressing my opinion all the time about what I think things to happen in the world or how, yada, yada, yada. I do have my own views, and I try to base them as much as possible, let them be informed by my Buddhism, primarily, and compassion and whatever wisdom of Buddhism I can kind of bring to bear on those things. And then also just, it's guided by just what I perceive as wise statecraft and wise, wise leadership, the principles of Buddhism that apply to that, the principles of kingship or principles of Buddhism. And I look to the principles of humanity that Shinran and Renyo point us toward as guidelines for our behavior. I look at those Confucian, they're not Confucian, obviously. They're not embracing the Confucian teachings, spiritual teachings about that, but those general 5 principles of conduct as just a general, more general, humane way of conducting oneself. I try to have those things, those views inform me, I'm probably about, so kind of, there's probably a decent percentage of my views are kind of neo-Confucian, except in a very modern context, and some things not at all really, but anyway, so what I'm trying to say is so then something else is informing my own. I try to allow that to inform my social, political, ethical beliefs and conduct, rather than just my own opinions and arrogance of what I think is best for the world. So that's so so there's that perspective, and within that context, yes, we should, even though we're ignorant bamboo and ignorant beings, we should try to do the best we can to live the most as ethically as we can, in a just way, and try to bring, try to do whatever we can to support the least harmful the social policies and political policies, and the least harmful of those, and the most compassionate and the most wise. I should try to, we should try to do that. So we should try to do something about social ills and social injustice and the environment and war and trying to support diplomatic things and peace in the world, and we should do all that. Doesn't mean because my perspective on Mappo is pretty grim as a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, it doesn't let me off the hook from, or it doesn't mean that I shouldn't try to live in a way that is, supportive of the least harm, the most compassionate, the most wise way for human beings to live. But anyway, still have that perspective. But the other thing I'm trying to say here is that because I'm a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, and Amida Buddha is Amida, the natural working of Amida's vow has been working in my life for this lifetime, certainly, but for countless lifetimes, to bring me to this lifetime. I have a lot of hope that I will go to Pure Land eventually. Amida Buddha's transference of Amida's mind and merit and light will enable me to go to Pure Land, so that I can become a Buddha and return in multiple forms to help beings. So the most I can do for the world in Mappo, in the mess that we're in, that the biggest thing I can do is go to Pure Land, become a Buddha, so I can come back and help properly, not in my ignorance. Because me as a Bambo trying to help the world and trying to help others, first of all, I can't act as I wish. We cannot act as we wish, karmically speaking. We just can't. We're bound by our karma, especially if we're born into this age, and both collectively and individually. So we're limited. We're very limited in what we can accomplish in the world. Very limited. But if I become, my hope, my true hope, my true faith, my true, Amida's true faith, Amida's true mind, Amida's true path is for me to go to Pure Land, and become a Buddha. Then I can help. That's the real perspective, and that's the hope I have. That's the positivity. I have huge gratitude because of that whole I have a wellspring of gratitude for everything in my life, because I'm a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, because of Amida's vow, because of Amida's light illumining me, because I know right now in this mind stream that we're all looking at, that I'm looking at right here, Amida's mind is here. Amida's mind is here, and so are all the Buddhas here as well. So there's the realistic perspective, pragmatic perspective as a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, and then there's the hope and the really positive gratitude kind of end of that, that sustains me, and I don't feel completely hopeless. Like, I feel hopeless, yeah, but if I didn't have any of these beliefs, I'd be rust coal. I'd be rust coal. I would be a philosophical pessimist. I would be an antinatalist. I would be a total, do you know what I mean? Like, that's if I didn't have these Buddhist teachings and beliefs and the light, ultimately the light of Amida illuminating me, Amida Buddha's mind illuminating me, that's what I would be. As far as samsara is concerned, it's hopeless. Samsara, if I don't have, if I'm not a Buddha, like even not just full stop not being a Buddhist, I can't see how people could have a hope in this life. Really, I just can't see it. But anyway, that's just me. So, but there is this huge positive side of it, and that's what. That's a large part of what I celebrate, all the time, throughout the year, every day, in my life. Am I constantly, my heart full of gratitude and da-da-da? No, but in an underlying way, yes, it's always there. It's always there, and I'll naturally say the Nimbutsu in gratitude for that, for Amita's vow, for that I know eventually I will be, I will go to Pure Land. I will. And yeah, so that's it. I think that's all I wanted to kind of talk about today. So need to get heading to meet up with family again. So I'll just say some Nembutsu to take this video out. So Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namandabo, 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 Namandabo. All right, take care. Until next time, happiness and much metta to you in the coming year. Be well.